Load up on a great Week 8 slate. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Betting After Dark, Sports Betting After Dark. I'm your host, Calvin Timms, and my co-host is back this week. She's finally at her new job. She's not working crazy night shifts and weird hours and everything like that. So she's going to carry the load because I am sick as a dog, and you can probably hear it in my voice. I don't feel the greatest, but we're gonna carry through, and we're gonna get it done for you guys out there. But you can find the podcast before we get into that at FF After Dark on Twitter. You can find myself or my co-host Sam at TDC underscore Calvin or at Sam Timms 99. We got to fix that still to Sam Sarl SS 99. That's probably open. You can totally grab that. But you can also find what?
No, he promised me that I could keep just like my
Oh,
Gmail.
there you go. Fine.
Yeah.
You can find the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, Google, Apple, anywhere the podcasts are really found. And if you can, while you're over there, please like and subscribe to the video if you like these betting ones. The nice thing with this betting, we're doing NFL primarily, but NBA just kicked off. MLB's closing up. NHL, I know, Sam, you're a big NHL fan. That's kicked off as well, and we can cover those year round. So that's kind of the benefits of a betting podcast. It doesn't have to be strictly, NFL related. So we'll see what we do as we go forward, but make sure you subscribe so that you guys can get all of the content all year round. So that said, we're going to be talking about unit size today. Before we do that, how are you doing, Sam?
I'm doing good. I'm adjusting to a new life. So we're hanging in there.
Free
And
life.
we're busy tomorrow with family. So
Yep.
we're rolling.
Never ends, right? Never ends. But
Nope, never ends.
oh goodness, I just got home and my kids just went to bed, so it's late, but they're gonna carry through. So hopefully we're gonna have a good podcast here. But again, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe on the video. It just helps us out there. Now let's jump into our topic of the day, of the week. We're gonna talk about unit size, and as someone who's not a big gambler, who's not a degenerate, one thing that really struggles with me, and I think I've lost a few bets. I last week was a pretty bad week for me. I got blasted on here. But we're going to bounce back. I had some good parlays here last night with the Bills Tampa Bay game. But the biggest thing that kind of throws me off still, and where I could potentially win more money and minimize the losses, is understanding how to place bets. And if, let's say, one unit is $1 for you, knowing when to do a half unit, 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4, 5, 6. Like, how do you determine when to bet $1, $2, $3, 50 cents, for example? What's your process for that?
So my process personally, if we're using a unit as a dollar, is if I'm gonna bet $1 on something that's a little bit of a safer bet, so something that is still maybe negative odds, but you could still profit part of that unit. Um, Whereas something, or I should reverse that actually. I would put 3 units on something that's safer. So I put $3 on, like, let's say the Jets money line on Sunday is minus 160. I put $3 on that because I like the odds a little bit better.
You think that's safe? Oh man, you're crazy.
Yeah,
But
I do,
fair.
but like it's all based on your units too, like we talked about.
Sure.
Because one of my buddies too in the Discord, like, it's not uncommon for him to put, I think his unit is 10, and it's not uncommon for him to bet like 10 units straight line on somebody's like money line that's minus something that he just really thinks is that game.
Right. Okay.
The place where I personally would do something like 1 unit is if I'm getting a little bit better odds, so almost in the positives, because I'm betting less, but I'm profiting 100% of that less.
Mm-hmm. I get you.
So yeah, so it's riskier, but I'm not risking as much of a like I'm risking 1 unit compared to 3.
So you're kind
But
of
my profit, yeah.
so you're kind of to try and boil this down. So with the risky bets, you try to bet less so you can win potentially more, but you're risking less. Whereas the safer bets, you like to bet more where you win less, but it's a safer bet. That kind of
You win well, you would win more because you like the bet more and it's like a negative odd. So negatives odds win more
right.
than positives. So yeah, I'm gonna put more money on like minus versus
Right.
I'd put a
Where
little bit less on a positive.
right. So we're saying like so if it's like minus 150, for example, you would bet 3 units on that. And
Sure,
what you're
yeah.
saying is you'd win more because you're betting 3 units and you're, whatever you'd be winning a
Yeah.
unit and a half essentially, right? Or
Yeah.
is that the math?
Yeah, for
Versus
sure.
if it was a riskier bet, like let's say it's plus 100, where it's just a straight double your money, right? That you're betting 1 unit, you technically win more with the safe bet because you're winning a unit and a half, but you're risking more essentially, right? So, the
Yeah.
net profit comes with the 1 unit, but it's a riskier bet, but the odds are
Sure.
more
Yeah. I
against
mean,
you.
right, and people got to understand every bet is like this
Yeah,
entire
right.
thing, risky thing. You have to be comfortable with losing, and you have to not let the high of winning get to your head or your fingers or your wallets.
Right.
But
Right.
like the way that I look at it too is because, for example, like you like to take anytime touchdowns a lot.
Yep.
So if I'm gonna put like 1 unit on an anytime touchdown, which is let's say $1, and my profit for that is gonna be like $5. What I like to do is place a safer bet where I will profit at least $1 so that I make back my risky bet.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's net. If the risky bet doesn't hit, you're still you're going net negative essentially, right?
Yeah, I'm even. I'm breaking even, and I would say that's what a lot of sports bettors do in general. It's just you have to be careful with what your unit is, like that amount.
Right. Yeah, and you don't want to. A unit is like 1% usually, right? Or whatever you feel comfortable with. But like with the podcast, I put $1,000 into DraftKings. My unit is only $5. It's 0.5% of the total money there. So I'm playing it kind of uber conservative, but I'm also a noob, so I don't want to blow my load too quickly here. But
yeah, for sure. I don't think anyone would feel good if you blew 1K.
Right. That would not be good. So, all right. So no, that's helpful. So for everybody out there that is newer to betting, or, you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants a little bit with it, this just is kind of a little bit more insight into it from someone who's been doing it much longer than me and has a little bit more insight into that. So, that said, let's jump into some NFL bets for this weekend. Did you want to kick it off with any that you had?
Yeah. Going to ask you sent me that list earlier. Were you
Right.
talking about all of those, or were you
Yes, so I've bet everything in the list, and I can I might be able to do this on the fly. Let's see if I can do this. I might be able to pull this up. So if you're watching on YouTube, you got an empty screen, but I'm going to try and get this up here for you guys to see. But I bet everything in that list right there. So had some game line bets, some touchdown bets, and some passing touchdowns. And we'll see if we can do this on the fly for you guys. But, this might not work too well. All right, we're not going to have it. We're not going to have it, but I'll walk through it for you guys. So everything that I'm going to talk about, I've already placed a bet on. So the odds might shift, but I really like the odds, which is why I wanted to place the bets on them now. I've noticed that over the last couple of weeks that, I go through all the lines and formulate these bets for the podcast. And then by the time that I actually bet them Friday night or Saturday morning, the lines have shifted. And I'm like, I don't really like that one as much, So
yeah, so much happens between Friday and Sunday.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll go through some game line bets that I like for this weekend. Some strictly game line. I like Indianapolis -1 at -101 odds. The odds, it's funny the way that the odds break out sometimes. Like it doesn't really make sense. I don't know how the lines are set for some of this stuff. I noticed that Indy -1 is better odds than Indianapolis money line. So the Indianapolis money line, I think, was -110, and Indianapolis -1 spread, which means that they're going to win anyway, right, is -101 odds. So you get slightly better odds for the same result.
Yeah, but you have to think about this because this gets you a lot and you get super frustrated. Where if they win by exactly one, they'll probably void
What's
your
the
bet.
chances of that though in the NFL? That feels you're right. It is possible, but it felt really small.
Well, and that's kind of funny that you even mentioned now because on DraftKings right now, Indiana the spread is +1 at -108, and the money line is +100.
For Indianapolis?
Yeah. So
Wow,
if
it
you take their
shifted
money
pretty
line,
heavily. Damn.
yeah.
No
So
way.
basically, you would say like take their money line.
Yes. And the only reason I took Indy -1 is because it was just slightly better odds, and I thought they were going to win anyway. So
Yeah.
I took Indy -1. Sounds like the odds have shifted. So by the time you're listening to this on Saturday, it's probably going to be back to negative odds. But good luck on that.
So I had an Indy play.
Okay.
So you think that they will be able to take on that Saints defense pretty well?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So I liked, and we talked about this earlier, but I liked Gardner Minshew over 220.5, yeah, 0.5 yards at -115. He has thrown like a champ when he started games.
Yep.
And it actually is down to 218.5. And I know
definitely
all
been
of this. Yeah. So, and it's still -115. And I know a lot of that, like, I know the Saints defense passing is really good, and I know the Colts aren't really like that put together.
Their offense is good. I was talking to one of my coworkers today. That offense, Shane Steichen feels like the right dude. Like he seems like a very, very good offensive mind.
Things are rolling for sure.
In the NFL where things are not going well.
Yeah.
But no, quickly so I sent this to you earlier, and I'm just going to recap it really quickly. The Saints defense against the pass has been playing pretty well. They've only given up 220 plus yards twice so far this year in 7 games. Tampa Bay and Green Bay, these were both I think 3-4 weeks ago. They gave up 217 to Trevor Lawrence last week, so they've only given up that line to 2 teams so far. But they also have not played anyone with a decent offense. They've played Tennessee, Carolina with Andy Dalton, I believe. Right? Yeah, so it was Tennessee in week 1, Carolina with Andy Dalton in week 2, Green Bay, Tampa Bay back-to-back, New England, Houston, and then Jacksonville. So, all of them are a little bit more scattered, I'd say, with weaker offensive lines.
I personally think Derek Carr is washed too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like offensively, and I know that has nothing really to do with Gardner Minshew, but I just think he's pretty washed. I think what you say with the money line, the Colts could win easily.
Yeah.
Saints have always kind of been a rival too, it seems like. But for this game, I also think Gardner could be good for an interception.
I like that a little bit as well.
And the odds for Gardner Minshew to have 1 interception is +124. So that's a really good bet.
Yep.
That's something that I'd be pretty comfortable taking and putting a little more than 1 unit.
Okay. Sounds good. So I had another game line. So I had Minnesota -1.5 at -110 odds. Again, their money line I think it's a little bit safer, but I think Minnesota's going to win pretty handily against Green Bay. Green Bay's been playing terribly so far. Jordan Love has just been struggling, and I think Minnesota's going to pull it out. And if they're going to win, they're not going to win by 1 point. So
I agree. I like that one a lot.
Another money line bet or game line bet is Atlanta -2.5 at -115. I really thought about taking the alternate spread of -6.5 for Atlanta because it was like plus 170, I think. But I ended up just taking a little bit of a safer bet. Didn't want to tie myself into a bind here.
Yeah.
But I think Atlanta's going to blow out Tennessee in this game because you've got Malik Willis, and Will Levis playing at quarterback this week. And Will Levis has never played an NFL game. Malik Willis has not been good when he does play. And Atlanta's defense is playing well so far. So I think that Atlanta's going to be able to score. They're going to be able to get up pretty early, and they're going to be able to hold that lead, in my opinion. I don't even know if Tennessee breaks 10 points. So winning by more than a touchdown. Do what?
Yeah, that'll be an interesting game in general.
I agree. And Desmond Ridder has been looking good. So I think that they're going to be able to, and you can throw on Tennessee. So I think that they're going to be able to score some touchdowns, and we'll talk about these a little bit later through the air and with a couple of parlays here. I have a good parlay that I like for this game, but I do like this spread. If you want to be a little bit riskier, you can take some bigger minus odds in the alternate spread, but it gets plus odds pretty quickly, but it is a risk as well.
You could also, I feel like a game like that, it's the over-under's at 35 right now, and I feel like it's either going to go way over or way under.
I was looking at it earlier, and it was under 37.5, and I was like, I almost put a bet in. I was like, I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to be too risky, but now it's even lower. Like, that's getting pretty low. That's scary.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I did bet that Tennessee would have the lowest points on the week at plus 900 odds. I thought that was pretty.
That's a fun bet.
Yeah, pretty nice odds. Like, I only did $5 on it, so one unit for me. But plus 900 for, like I said, I don't even know if this team breaks double digits. It's entirely possible that they just cannot move the ball. Again, Atlanta's defense is playing well, and we have no idea what these quarterbacks are going to be able to do. We know one of the quarterbacks is bad, and the other quarterback we have no information on. So looking through, this one felt like a safer plus $900 bet, but just figured I'd throw one unit on it just to see what would happen.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Any other bets you want to talk about here for game lines or?
No, I'll kind of just talk about I didn't have as many because I'm sure Cal made you guys aware. I've been transitioning to a new job, so I haven't done as much. So as you play or talk about yours, if mine goes with that game, I'll talk about it.
Sounds good.
I would say the only game line though I did take was the Texans.
What was their odds again?
So, well, this sucks. But when I looked at them, it was like minus 125, but it's at minus 175 now against the Panthers.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably saw that today because I saw that one as well, and it was pretty juicy as well.
Yeah, they probably woke up a little because I just is Bryce Young even playing for the Panthers right now?
Yeah, they're coming off the bye. Yep, they're coming off the bye. So I think that's what makes me a little bit nervous, but
it's just incredible. It'll be cool to see the two rookies.
Who should have gone at number 1 overall and who did go at number 1 overall. So
because of his IQ.
Yeah, his IQ that matters so much in the NFL. All right, a couple more bets. So I kind of am transitioning the way that this is going to be, that we'll go through these lines. So, I'm kind of breaking it up by category now instead of by game. I think that's a little bit easier for people to follow. So, we went through the game lines. Those are the game lines that I bet, unless it's in a parlay, which I'll talk about here at the very end. TDs, anytime touchdowns that I like. I'm not betting 2+ touchdowns. There's a lot of people out there that I've listened to a few gambling podcasts, and they recommend betting like the craziest stuff. Oh, DJ Moore, he's a lock for 2 touchdowns, whatever. Like, some of that stuff is just so risky. Like, you're getting such small odds, like 10%. If it hits, like even Tennessee, lowest points scored, it's a 1 in 32 chance, right? Because all the teams are playing. I don't love those odds. Like, there's a little, I don't think it's 1-32 necessarily, because the Chiefs are not going to be the lowest point scorer. So, you can already, you're going to be able to eliminate some teams from this, but it's still like a 1 in 10 chance of that one hitting. And that's about as high of a risk that I'm willing to do. And I just did it because there's a lot of data that says that this team's going to struggle, right? But there's a lot of podcasts out there that are recommending crazy bets that are like, and this is something that I've noticed over the last couple of weeks. I started off, receptions, this player for over 4. Like, some of the stuff is just such big gambles that's not worth it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a close line, I'm not doing it because it's just too risky for no reason. You don't really get the benefit, right?
Well, in those, so one of my buddies, he actually hit 2 weeks ago when George Kittle got 3 touchdowns. And it's like, are you freaking serious? How the heck?
It's like, that's great, but
how do you even do that? But he put $1 on it.
Right. And it's like, you can do small stuff like that, and that's fine, but a lot of the time,
I don't think it's fun. That's where my opinion. Like, I'm not having fun when I do something.
Well, it's fun, but it's just, you feel really bad when it misses. You're like, that was stupid. Why did I do that? Because 16 out of 17 weeks you're going to miss on that? Like, that's where it's for me, that's too much risk.
Yeah, I just don't find, I like to gamble on sports because it's fun and it makes the sport even more fun, in my opinion.
Yep.
I'm not going, it's not going to feel good if I bet $1 and I get 4.
Right.
If you know what I'm saying.
Right.
And it's for some crazy off the wall thing.
That's why you got to bet 10
care.
Or 100.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah. No. Those are the people that are like, okay, they get paid and they're like, all right, I got $50 extra. I'm going to place it on this and we'll see if I win.
I mean, just go buy some
and they
scratch
never
offs,
hit
right?
it. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go through game lines. The way that we're going to kind of do the order of this from now on, we're going to go through game lines. We're going to go through touchdowns. And again, you can bet any 2+, 3+ touchdowns, whatever random stats you want for the games. But this is what I'm recommending for me, and this is what I've actually bet, and I like these odds. And Sam talked about it earlier, I like a few anytime touchdown bets more than others, and it's typically the way that I've kind of narrowed it down is to teams with very few offensive weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Where it fits the mold of the game plan that you're going up against, and you have very few options with very good plus odds. So you can bet multiple of them, and more than likely one of them will hit, and it pays for all the bets. And if a second one hits, then you're just even further plus money, right? If 2 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what happened last night. I bet anytime touchdown for Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Both hit. I was up whatever, like $30 on it. So I was pretty happy about that. But if only my Godwin had hit last night, it paid for the Godwin bet and the Mike Evans bet, and I had profit on top of it. And you knew that if a touchdown was going to score on that team, it was going to be either one of those 2 receivers or Rachaad White. That was pretty much all it's going to go to for the team. So, you can bet those 3 guys. It's not like the Chiefs where you have to bet 8 guys to get one of them potentially. And if you bet all 8 of them, you're not going to get any money because you need multiple of them to hit. So that's how I look at anytime touchdowns. They're a gamble, but it's more of a controlled gamble, I guess, is the way that I look at it. So I have 6 guys that I really like this week. A.J. Brown plus 115 against the Washington Commanders. Washington's secondary is worse in the NFL. They're giving up the most yards per game, and A.J. Brown has been on an absolute tear the last couple of weeks. So I think it's just opportunity meets, what am I trying to think of? Opportunity meets talent. I don't know, whatever. Terrible analogy here. But plus 115 odds. Felt like a decent stab here. Dallas Goedert was the other guy, plus 245. I'm not betting DeAndre Swift. I'm not betting Jalen Hurts. And I'm not betting Devonta Smith. But I'm getting 2 pass catchers of the 3 primary pass catchers against a very weak secondary that are giving up a ton of yardage and touchdowns on the season through the air. So, I'm trying to cover as many bases as I can, but I think Devonta Smith was like plus 150. I was like, this is not even worth it to bet, because he's the lowest odds of the three, in my opinion, to get a touchdown. So I did like those. Do you have any thoughts on them?
Like them all, you know how I feel with anytime touchdowns.
They're great.
I would say and this goes for all like props in general, or really gambling, but there's a lot of like Twitter pages and I retweet stuff a lot too, that gives like it's literally just data analysis of like the percentages of something, like how many times something's hit, like if how many times like somebody's ran and it's hit, the percentage of all that.
Yep.
And people do that with anytime touchdowns too. And I mean, I think people go either way. They go where, like you say, where you break it down a little more in tune to the game. Whereas a lot of people will be like, oh, okay, so this person hasn't scored a touchdown in a while. They probably will this time because that's just how things go.
Right. And that's
how a lot of people bet anytime touchdowns.
That's where it's risky. Like that the only time I do it is if I'm hammering one side of the ball in one game. Like I'm hitting AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert. The other three that I really like, Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts. I bet all three of those guys. Again, I think that this is going to be a blowout by Atlanta. Somebody's going to score. I didn't bet Jonnu, but I hit the three other primary weapons. Drake London was plus 215, Bijan was plus 190, and Pitts was plus 425. If London or Bijan hit, it pays for all three of the bets. So, and I have the potential of London, Pitts, and Bijan hitting it. So I'm hammering one side only when the odds are in the plus for me, essentially, if that makes sense. Like, the last guy I bet was Zach Charbonnet at plus 265. And the only reason I bet him is because the Seattle Seahawks might be without Kenneth Walker. And I don't think that the line is going to be updated accordingly because Charbonnet will be the starting running back at that point. And I think that 265 is going to come down to like plus 110 or 150 or something. So that's the only reason I tried to get Charbonnet early, just because Walker is still active at this point in time. But felt, this is the lone one where I saw a potential adjustment coming, so I just bet it while I could, essentially. But other than that, I'm trying to hammer one offense, one side of the ball with very good plus odds, essentially.
I just don't really bet anytime touchdown, so I can't help people there. It's possible for anybody to score.
Right. It is, right. Like, even AJ Brown and Dallas Goedert, it could be Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts and, DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
And I could miss out completely, but.
Right. What I want is, I want to bet that CMC will not get a touchdown.
I know. I wish I could bet those too, but you can't.
I want to bet that. I would bet that every single time until it hit, because even if he went like however many weeks, you put $1, could you imagine the odds?
It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, because he's done so many times in a row.
So I want those bets.
All right. A couple passing lines that I like for this week. I got two of them for you. Tyrod Taylor over 186.5 minus 115. He's done that in both of the last two games. And, I think that he's going to be the starter again. I think Daniel Jones is already ruled out.
He is.
And it's against the Jets. It's a tougher defense, but Tyrod's been playing well, and he pushes the ball down the field a little bit more, where I think that that's going to be a benefit for him in this one. So, when I say he's beat that line, he's blown it out. I think his lowest passing was like 220. So, it's like 40 yards more than they're giving him. So I just felt like it was a big discrepancy. I get it. It's a tougher defense, but feels like Tyrod is going to be able to beat that mark because they're not going to be able to run on the Jets very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
The other one was Lamar Jackson over 233.5 minus 115. The Ravens, who are the Ravens playing again? I got to pull this up here.
I can tell you here. Ravens are playing Oh, they're playing the Cardinals.
Yes, the Cardinals. I feel like the Cardinals' defensive front is above average, and the Ravens are starting to get things together through the passing game, and I think they're going to try
Oh, for
and
sure. Yeah.
I think they're going to try and capitalize on that. Lamar's been looking really good through the air, and 233.5 felt like a pretty good line for him. Again, this one's a little bit more of this one's going to be a sweaty bet. I'm not going to lie. You know, if he doesn't get that mark, I would not be shocked, but I think it's definitely doable. You can throw on the Cardinals. So just wanted to kind of bet on Lamar, and with the improvement we've seen the last couple of weeks, felt like a good opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Like Lamar.
Any more bets from you right now? Or are you still waiting?
No, because next week I'll be more together with you, but I didn't know we were like them as a category.
Oh, gotcha.
But my passing was Gardner Minshew.
Right. And you talked about that a little bit earlier.
CJ Stroud. I guess I can talk about this one. We'll talk about it with passing because, I mean, we basically are doing like a quarterback receiving, rushing kind of thing.
Yep.
So CJ Stroud over 1.5 touchdowns is at plus 105.
Yep.
And he's playing the Panthers.
Yep.
I just think they're really good odds for how well CJ Stroud has been playing. And I think he'll be kind of hungry too because like he threw that interception.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
And they're coming off bye too, so they might have been able to kind of get some stuff together here.
So I like that. He's also on my fantasy team, so I'm biased. Well, I shouldn't even say that because I took his interception. I knew that was going to happen, but I just really think he could throw 2 touchdowns.
Right. And the Arizona Cardinals right now, from a defensive perspective, they're giving up 1.6 passing touchdowns per game. So, you know, it's in your favor.
He's playing the Panthers.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, the Panthers.
Yeah.
The Panthers.
There's no way theirs is any better.
They are only giving up 0.8 passing touchdowns per game.
0.8. Okay, so that's why it's at plus odds. But the Texans can't really run.
No, they cannot. And
so that's why they really rely on passing touchdowns.
Yeah, and the Panthers are better against the pass and the run, but you know, we'll see. I don't think that's a very bad bet, but it might be a little risky. But you know, Stroud's been good, so we'll see what happens. And they have Tank Dell back too as well, so that'll definitely help things.
We'll see.
Yep. Do you have any more passing stats?
I do not.
All right. Any rushing stats for you? I did not like the Lions this week. There's a few that I have in the parlays we'll talk about, but other than that, I didn't like a couple of them.
Yeah, I wasn't too hot on them. And I'll be honest too, if I take rushing, a lot of the times it's like a quarterback or like a backup running back. Yeah,
and that's where it was kind of risky. And this is what I was talking about earlier. The lines are so funny because when I was looking at it earlier, Travis Etienne, his over-under was 64.5 yards, right, at minus 115. Yeah. If I changed it to 70-plus yards, it was minus 120.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Yeah, what do you mean? What do you mean it's getting worse odds for more yardage? I was like, I'll just take the over-under then. Like, I get more. You're giving me more yards for a more favorable bet. I was like, this makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, and like, I know this goes along with any betting, but like, it's so easy for a running back to have like 20 fucking yards the next week.
I know.
After they have just ran like however many. And that's what frustrates me with rushing so much.
Right. Yep. And I did not like a lot of the receiving lines as well. The only one that really stood out to me that I felt good about betting, again, there's a few parlays that we'll talk about here in just a minute, but Adam Thielen over 66.5 yards, minus 115. This dude's just been the target monster. And Houston, you can throw on Houston. Like, most people don't, but like, you run on Houston. But I don't think that the Carolina Panthers have a very functioning run game right now. Miles Sanders is finally healthy, hopefully. But, you know, I don't know if they're going to give him a full workload with the first week back. Chuba Hubbard is a better receiving back right now than he is a running back, in my opinion. This offensive line for the Panthers is not great. So 66.5 for Thielen, who's been the target monster for this team, felt like just too good of a line to pass up.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it.
Any for you?
No. I see we're about to bring up some field goal love.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I got some field goals. And the way that I was looking at this, I broke it down pretty simply in my brain. But I think differently than everyone else. So, we'll see.
Preach, preacher.
That's why I'm an engineer, But
the biggest pain in my butt.
Yeah. So I took Chad Ryland with the New England Patriots over 1.5 field goals made at plus 154. The New England Patriots are playing the Miami Dolphins. The reason why I took this one and the kind of the thought process I had going forward was defensive-minded head coach with a middling offense that can move the ball sometimes but can't really move the ball a lot of times. If they ever get into field goal range and they get to fourth down, they will kick it. Bill Belichick will never go for it, ever. And I don't think that the Miami defense is that terrifying that it's going to be able to stop the ball, like stop New England from moving the ball. I think they're going to be good enough to stop us from getting a ton of touchdowns. I do think that New England's going to play this a lot better than Vegas thinks. Like the plus 9.5 for New England is very, very interesting to me. I know a lot of people think it's going to be a blowout, but I think that we're going to cover that pretty easily. Not enough that I'm going to bet it, but it's very interesting. But again, with the field goals, I think we're going to be in range multiple times. And if we're ever in range and it's fourth down, Belichick's going to kick it. And that's kind of the thought process I had with a lot of these kickers. You saw this last night, for example. You have, if you ever get a team that you have a defensive-minded head coach and it's a, short yardage, fourth down, I can punt it and pin them back deep, or I can kick the field goal, I can go for it, or I can kick the field goal and just guarantee myself some points. 99% of the times, those old school defensive minded coaches, they just kick the field goal and say, we'll just take the points. When in reality, analytics say you should go for it and all that stuff. But, good.
You just brought up like PTSD for me, because Monday Night Football, the announcer, he cannot go. He cannot
Troy
go a
Aikman?
breath. I don't think it's Aikman, but it could be.
Or Buck.
But one of them
Joe
cannot
Buck.
go a breath without saying something about, well, the analytics say go for it at fourth and third, and they'll say that every.
They're trying to appeal to the nerds, Sam. They're trying to appeal to the nerds. But that's why I took Ryland over 1.5. I think that they're going to be able to make multiple field goals, and I think he's averaging like 3 field goals a game. So it felt like pretty good money for plus 154 odds. Same with Graham Gano.
I'm going to jump on that.
Yep, same with Graham Gano, over 1.5. And I took both kickers in this game. This is the Giants versus the Jets. I think this one's going to be a little bit more of a defensive battle. The Giants defense is looking a lot better the last couple weeks. And, we all know that the Jets offensive line is not great, but they're able to move the ball sometimes. And, 2 field goals for the Jets. If they're in range with a defensive minded head coach early in the game, they're going to kick it rather than go for it some of those times. So, same with the other side. The Jets defense is good, but they can give up yardage. I can see the Giants moving the ball, but, not being able to punch it in for a touchdown, which they'll just end up kicking the points because it'll be a little bit more of a low scoring game. I don't think the Jets are going to be able to run away with this one. So, if you're kicking a field goal and then we're going to go down 2 drives later and kick a field goal and it's kind of more punts and stuff like that. Like, I think this could be a low scoring game where, each team has a touchdown or something like that, but I think they're going to try and just get field position and use their defenses a little bit more in this one. So took both sides at plus 110 odds for both of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, people underestimate the value in taking field goals.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of value in it.
Yeah, especially for the money lines, you know what I'm saying? All right. Now, last thing I want to talk about is a couple parlays. I have 3 parlays for you guys this week, and then we'll wrap this up.
Before you talk about your parlays, I'll talk about like kind of just over-unders and quarters. One thing I really liked was the Dolphins versus Pats. First quarter, the Dolphins are over 1 touchdown.
Okay.
The odds for that are at minus 150.
Okay.
Really like that because I feel like they come out pretty hot all the time. And like you said, I think that the Pats will keep up, but I think it'll be so easy for the Dolphins to come out hot.
I could see you being right, but for a different reason. Bill Belichick is an all-time adjuster. Like, his ability to adjust the defense is otherworldly. He's top-notch in that. So I could I could see Miami coming out hot and then slowing down later in the game. And it's because Bill is able to adapt to their game plan more so than, being able to stop them early. So no, I still like it. I just like it for a little bit of a different reason. I don't know if we'll be able to keep up as much, but at the same time, we'll see. We will see.
I mean, yeah, we'll see. Because like on the opposite end, you have Mike McDaniel, who's like an offensive genius.
Right. Yep. So this will be a fun one.
Adjusts his guys to
to
what he thinks. And then the only other thing I had was Brown Seahawks. It's an alternate under, but it's under 40.5. I mean, these are just 2 really good.
Yeah,
and 2 really good defenses. Geno Smith is overrated in my opinion.
He's okay.
I don't think.
But PJ Walker is bad. Yeah, PJ Walker's bad. Yeah. He's got, I think, 4 touchdowns and 14 interceptions in his NFL career. So
yeah,
the odds of him putting up multiple touchdowns is pretty low.
Well, and like even when Seahawks are winning games, they're not winning them by a lot. Like their games are not high scoring. So like I said, it's an alternate under, but it's still at minus 150. So I like that.
Fair enough. I like it too. All right, couple parlays for you guys. I've got 3. I don't know if you have any, Sam, but we'll cover those here in a second. The first one is a Philly special. Philly. We've got Jalen Hurts over 249.5. Jalen Hurts, this is passing yards, by the way. Jalen Hurts over 1.5 passing touchdowns. A.J. Brown over 88.5 yards, receiving yards.
Whoa.
And Dallas Goedert over 40.5 receiving yards. And, I forget the odds on that. If you give me a minute, I can pull it up really quickly. But I think it's like plus 400. Let me pull it up.
The odds for that.
Do you have go ahead.
I don't have a parlay, but like you said, follow us on Twitter, and I post my parlays the morning of.
I'm really bad about this. I need to be better about it. I apologize, guys. I don't tweet like ever. I just don't really do social media. So,
hey, you tweet more than I do, but I retweet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do.
I retweet like crazy, but I like to post my plays, and I'll post some parlays this weekend. Like I said, adjusting to a new day life.
Plus 700 odds, and I did
I figured it would be something like that.
Yeah.
88 yards, 89 yards is a lot, and I know AJ Brown's a beast.
I mean, it's only minus 115, but Dallas or the Washington Commanders, their secondary is terrible. Like, it's bad, like really, really bad.
Yeah, but let's also remember that the Commanders gave the Eagles money not to.
We'll see. I like it.
It was a high-scoring game, but it still did happen.
For sure. And this got me in trouble last night. I bet on Stephon Diggs to have like 80 yards as well, and I got burned on that. So the next one that I liked a lot was, and this was, to be fair, this one was a no-sweat bet. So it was kind of a free bet either way.
Beautiful.
But this next one, I actually got a 50% boost on DraftKings. So if you can do the parlay boost on this one, I love this one. It's plus 1,012 with the 50% boost. But it's the Atlanta Falcons game. So it is, and again, I think this is going to be a blowout. None of these bets are crazy. It's all minus 115, minus 110, minus 115, minus 120. Desmond Ridder over 220.5 passing yards. Drake London over 54.5 receiving yards. Jonnu Smith over 29.5 receiving yards, and Kyle Pitts over 33.5 receiving yards. So it's all one team. But if Desmond Ridder is going to be over 220, These are the only guys that he's going to throw the ball to except Bijan. So I like the overs on all of their yardage. They're all pretty low yardage, and I think all of these guys have beaten this yardage in the last few weeks. And on top of that, Tennessee is very, very beatable through the air. They're giving up so many yards through the air. It's insane. I'm just pulling up really quickly their defensive stats. In through the air, where are they at here? They're giving up on average about 220 yards per game. They've gotten a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but they're not really. Excuse me. Excuse me.
COVID.
But they're not really playing as tough of competition the last couple of weeks. So I like this bet a lot, especially at plus 1,000 odds. It felt pretty
Insane.
easy for that level of odds, right?
Yeah. Was there an anytime touchdown in it?
Do what?
No. That's insane. That's literally insane.
I know
you got
it's literally
50%
no
boost.
touchdowns. There's no money lines. It's just if Ritter has a decent day passing, which he's done recently. There's the comments from head coach Arthur Smith that Ritter has been playing very, very well, and he believes in his quarterback. When some people were kind of mocking Ritter and saying he wasn't as good, why are you putting the ball in his hands? And Arthur Smith seems like a vindictive guy, so I think he's going to try and make Desmond Ritter showcase his passing ability, and those three guys are going to benefit. So that was the thought process there. And then the last parlay that I had for you guys was the Jacksonville Jaguars minus 2.5 and this was an alternate line, I believe, at minus 111 odds. I think the line was minus 2 earlier when I was looking, so I just did 2.5 for a little bit better money on that.
You're learning.
ETN over 64.5 rushing yards. He's been on fire. And the Steelers, they're weakest at the rushing. You can run on the Steelers pretty well. And then I had Kenny Pickett over 200 passing yards. He's done that in all games except for one on the season, and that's minus 190. Kenny Pickett plus 200 passing yards. That's his alternate passing yard stat number. But minus 190, they're very confident, and that's plus 335 odds as well for that. So, nice little plus odd bet, but I think all three of those are very likely to hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like them. Still can't believe the Falcons for no touchdowns.
I know, right? All minus odds. When you combine those four, it was plus 600 something percent, and then I added a 50% boost on top. So
yeah,
all right.
And I would say too, just like advice with that for our listeners is do something like that and take something a little bit safer, and you're gonna have positive odds.
Right. Because these were all safe, right? None of them were like risky bets. So, all right. Yeah. Any parlays from you for the week, or just follow you on Twitter and find them there?
Follow me on Twitter. I'll cook something up in the lab.
She's pretty good at her parlays, except soccer.
Okay, but I tail those.
All right.
And then I was hitting a couple, and then the one I sang. I think
you missed both legs of that one. It was terrible.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Not trusting your soccer tails anymore. But that said, follow us on Twitter. You can find I'll try and be more proactive about putting the parlays out there for you guys that I'm betting. Sam will put up some stuff as well. You can follow the podcast on Twitter, again, at FF After Dark, myself at TDC_Calvin. I do kind of find it funny that, TDC was for the Dynasty Consultant. That was the name I came up forever ago, but it's actually just my initials backwards. That's what threw me off at first. So it works in multiple levels, many levels there. Yeah, there you go.
I'd like to very briefly bring up the dumpster fire that could be our primetime football game again on Sunday.
What?
The
Who's
two
playing?
dumpster fire of a teams. We've got the Bears and the Chargers versus
Oh
each other
yeah,
on
with
Sunday
Tyler
for prime time.
Bagent.
Yeah, and it's just like, why is prime time getting? I just don't understand.
Hey, it's only I think 2 more weeks till they can start flexing games.
Yeah,
So.
thank goodness. Yeah, but that'll be interesting to see that new that QB. His story is cool.
I could care less, to be honest with you. Like, I really don't care, but some people do.
Okay, well, I do. I thought it was cool.
But
I'm rooting for him.
there you go. You can find Sam at Twitter at SamTims99, SamSarl99.
SamTims99.
There you go. So make sure you guys follow us. Please subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing this every single week. Like I said, now Sam's kind of on a normal schedule. We'll make sure we're hitting you guys up every week, and we'll be in the lab cooking up some of these bets. Again, we're trying to give you guys safer bets. Like that Ritter, the Atlanta one, they're favored. They're against a weak passing team, right? Pass defense team. And I'm not taking crazy odds. Pitts and Jonnu to have 30 yards, London to have 55 yards, and Ritter to have 220 passing yards. Not really crazy bets for plus 1,000 odds. Like, I'm trying to give you guys good bets. You know, last week, you just throw that one out. It was a weird week, but we're gonna be better this week. And we're not gonna the Detroit Lions #1 ranked defense is not going to be the worst defense in the NFL this upcoming week. So, it's not going to happen. So, but that said, thank you guys for joining us here. Sam, any last thoughts?
I would just say, at the end of the day, it's your guys' money. Listen or don't listen. It's not our fault.
Please bet responsibly. I think I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, right. Bet responsibly.
I'm not paid by the government.
Don't tell your mom.
I'm not paid by the government. You can't make me say it. But no, make sure you guys are betting smart. And if you ever need anything, reach out to us, and we'd be happy to talk things over with you guys. So hit us up again on Twitter. You can find the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Apple, anywhere the podcasts are found. So until next time, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a good night.
And we all got dreams, we all want things, but what you gonna do for it? How you gonna move for it? What you gonna be?